to White, over to Caruso for the lead! Time here, turn up the 18! Woo!
Hello and welcome back to the C-Red UK podcast, where quite simply, the Chicago Bulls sing. This podcast is part of the Fans First Sports Network, so wherever you're listening, rate, review, subscribe, helps us out and ensures you don't miss another episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe, give it a thumbs up and leave some comments down below, because we will reply and we enjoy seeing who's watched and listened and all the good stuff. I'm Matt, and as usual, joined by Neill. How are we doing, Neill?
I'm pretty damn good, which I shouldn't be saying after a Bulls loss like that, especially one that was so important. But I'm excited because the next game that the Chicago Bulls play, I will be attending. I will be in Chicago, going to the UC to watch them live, and hopefully I'll see more of the Minnesota Bulls than the Atlanta Bulls.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Tired. I don't know about you, but I completely forgot that the Hawks game was the second of a back-to-back.
Yeah,
I don't know why. And then I was back at work this morning and just had a crap day, long day, and yeah, we're still going, and we've got, I don't know, quite a bit of Bulls to talk about, really, haven't we? Since the last episode,
definitely,
or quite a lot of Bull to talk about, should I say? Because the title of this episode is Consistently Inconsistent. And since, probably before the Wizards game that we last recorded after that last week, that's pretty much what Bulls have been. Obviously, we last recorded after the Wizards game, which was just an embarrassment. And then we go out and we get one of our best performances of the season by beating Pacers.
Yeah.
We then back that up by a shocking performance against the Nets. And then we get another decent win as we sweep Minnesota. And we back that up with God knows what that was last night. So I don't know where you want to start with it before we get into the little topics we have got to speak about.
Yeah, I mean, consistently inconsistent is actually the best way to describe it. I mean, it's just a roller coaster ride of dips and climbs and dips and climbs. How this team can go out with practically zero changes to what they have on the floor and play as badly as they do against the Wizards, and then as well as they do against the Pacers, and then as badly as they do against the Nets, and then as well as they do against the Wolves, and then they throw that out there last night against the Hawks, which, we haven't got onto the Hawks game, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I mean, that was an important game. That was a really important game. This is the team that's chasing you for your position and for home court advantage in the play-in, and you let them steamroll you. I mean, and that's the Nets steamrolled this as well, and the Wizards steamrolled it. I mean, it's shocking. It's shocking. The losses have been shocking, and the wins have been incredible. And it's just stuff, mind blowing stuff. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, probably just before that Wizards game, everything had felt a little bit positive. We felt like there was a little bit of hope. They were a little bit more consistent with the performances. Yeah, they had the odd blowout loss or whatever, yeah. But obviously is where the clutch Bulls come from, because we were managing to put together these good performances and drag these wins from somewhere. And then all of a sudden, the last, 2 weeks, we've just got, I don't know, it's like we spoke about last week, are the positives that we said about, are they actually positives? And now you look at it and you think, has that led to this inconsistency that we're seeing? And I mean, to be fair, a lot of them, the inconsistency we are seeing, have been there since last year and maybe even the year before. And obviously we're going to talk about a couple of the things that we have noticed from the games, and the first one being, and it's not just these games that we've noticed it in, it's been going on for a couple of years now, the 3-point struggle that we have. That AK,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, just can't seem to provide us players that are shooters. But the biggest thing that we have noticed, and we've noticed for the last few years, is we can't guard the three either, or the 3-point shot. And that is a major problem, especially when you're not shooting them. And obviously, a few other people seem to have picked up on this, the fact that we can't defend the three. You know, last year we were top 5 in defence. I think we're bottom 2 at the minute this season, something like that. And I know we're the worst team at guarding threes, which we were last season as well, apparently. And it's just like, obviously we saw it last night, but we saw it more in that Nets loss. I mean, I can't remember exactly what Nets took in that game, but once they got a grip of it, that was it. It was just, and they contested as well. That's the annoying thing. And
Yeah.
you know, they're hitting like, that was his name, Krejci or whatever it was last night. Doing who he is.
Or something. I've never heard of him before.
You know, he come from nowhere, and he was it 6 of 6 that he dropped, and there was that one that Bogdanovic from near half court. Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? That we can't hit them sort of threes for a start. We can't hit wide open threes most of the time.
Yeah.
But then it's on the defensive end. It's just, and look, I mean, I think the fact that the players who you'd expect to guard the perimeter, as in obviously your guards for a start, they're having to drop into the paint to cover for Vooch a lot of the time, because we know that Vooch can't defend. So then they've drawn themselves back into the paint. The ball moves around because other teams can move the ball, not like Bulls. And then it gets to a corner three or a wide open three. And by the time the Bulls have closed out and made it look like a contested shot, the shot's already up and over and either in or, you know, and then you've got Vooch there putting his hands up, volleyball tapping it away or whatever. And it's just like, and that leads to a lot of second chance threes and these long rebounds that we don't get because the players, the woman that they're trying to cover the paint, then they're trying to guard the three shot, and then they're looking for where the ball's going for the rebound. And then by the time they realise where the ball is, it's up in the air again. And yeah, it's just, and then something obviously that I've said for a long time is score a three, give a three.
Yeah.
I would love to see a stat on who gives a three the most straight after scoring a three, because Bulls have got to be up there. And we don't score that many threes as it is, which we see in the live thread because we kind of celebrate every three that we do shoot. Oh, we do hit, should I say? And straight away, it's like, never mind, because we hit it, and then, you know, straight down the other end, they hit one. We go down the other end, we miss a two. They go down the other end, they hit a three. You know, and then before you know it, we're out of the game.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, what's your sort of think on the defensive side of the three?
Yeah, before I get into it, did you ask how many Atlanta had shot last night?
It was the Nets that I didn't know about.
Oh, the Nets. Okay, right. Okay, I'll come back to that in a second then.
I know it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll come back to it in a second, unless you want to look it up while I'm talking. So what do I think of the defense? Well, okay, without trying to put too much of a sugar coating on it, I think it's shit. I mean, it's just terrible. And you mentioned it, and it's one thing that's really beginning to become a bugbear of mine, is that like slap out of the ball for Vooch. Grab the ball, put two hands on the ball. You're a big lad, spread your shoulders, put your elbows out, cradle the ball, hold the ball, turn around, give it to a runner. No, what does Vooch do? Vooch slaps it away. And the problem with slapping it away is you're not guaranteed that that's going to go to another ball. all you're doing is you're hockeying the ball out and hoping that someone in a Bulls jersey is on the end of it. But a lot of the time, what you're doing is by doing that, you're hitting it out. And if it does go out deep enough to your opposition, well, you're giving them an opportunity for a transition offense because they're going to run the ball. They're halfway out the court already.
Mm.
Grab the ball. Okay, even if you can't go straight up with it when you grab the ball, even if there's not an opportunity for a shot there, grab the ball, square yourself away, and make the pass, kick the kick out, and maybe somebody else can set it up again. But at least the ball's in your possession. This whole hitting it out and hoping for the best is really, really beginning to bug me. So yeah, that's definitely one of the big things that I've noticed and started taking real note of that's driving me mad. And we'll get into kind of what happened in last night's game, like I say, in a bit. So I don't want to jump the gun and start talking about rotations and things like that yet. But the defense of the 3-point shot is massive for us right now, as in a problem, a massive, massive problem, because like you say, we're at such a negative situation on the inside. And Billy mentioned this, which again, I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. But so what they're trying to do is they're trying to defend the paint, and then they're making it much more difficult to get a decent closeout on 3-point shots. And what seems to have been lost somewhere along the way is, okay, so you're going to have to try and, make up for the fact that Vooch is not a very good rim protector by bringing the defense back a bit, right? And then you have to get out and close down shots and hope for the best that you'll get out there and they don't hit the three. But the modern NBA is about the 3-point shot. Like it or loathe it, it's about the 3-point shot. It has evolved where that is the biggest threat for the vast majority of teams in the NBA. Not us, but for other teams. And if you aren't going to put focus on stopping a 3-point shot, you're constantly going to be having these games with a deficit differential in points because of the fact that you aren't defending the three and you aren't hitting the three. It's all good and well saying, well, we're stopping things on the interior, or we're protecting the paint, or we're protecting the rim. But nobody's coming in. Everyone's shooting from the three because they know they're not going to be defended. They know they're not going to be closed out properly. They're going to get open shots. And the vast majority of teams, other than us, seem to be able to hit a three if they're left open. Okay, you could leave a lot of our players open for 15 seconds and they're still not going to hit the three. But that's us. That's a different story. Other teams, you give them 2 seconds and they're going to hit the three. And it's not just one player. It's 3, 4, sometimes even 5 players on the opposing team. Whereas for us, we're lucky if we've got 1 or 2 players on the floor that can hit a three. And even at that, it's not going to be a terrifically high clip. And I'm getting frustrated with it. And I know I'm not the only one. I know there's plenty of other people out there that are getting fed up with it. I know you are too. And it's at the point, like, at least if you could defend the three, but you couldn't hit the three, that's 50% of it, right? But if you can't score them and you can't stop them, well, you're screwed, aren't you?
Yeah. And obviously, if your inside game's not working at the same time as your outside game's not working, which seemed to be the case last night, you're just screwed. And obviously, another thing with the defensive side of it is, what's all the help defense all about all the time? Even when we are guarding the perimeter, they'll leave the man to go to where the ball is, which obviously in turn leaves their man wide open, usually in the corner. And it's like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, considering Billy's supposed to be a defensive coach and all that, and obviously he had us as a top 5 defense like last season. This season they're running around like headless chickens, like they haven't got a clue, And I mean, just go over a few numbers from. Well, I'll start with the Pacers game, obviously, which we won. They took 42 and they hit 13. We took 27 and hit 12. Obviously, that was a win, but we're winning the inside game in that one.
Yeah.
And that's a bad shooting night for Pacers.
Yeah.
Which helps us out. That's not on our defense. That's on them just having a cold night like we do every night. In the next game, we took 30 and hit 9. Which,
That's
when
just
you've got
disgusting.
players that are hitting 7 or 8 a game, and as a team we're hitting 9, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nets took 44 and hit 25. So they're hitting 5 less than we're taking.
Yeah.
And then in the Timberwolves game, obviously, again, which we won, they were bad. They were bad at shooting, I thought, which led to us
inside and outside.
Yeah, which obviously it was an off night for them, which we got lucky with. Obviously, Caruso was the main story in that one. Career high, was it 7 of 8 that he hit? Which, that's going to happen. Well, it's a career high.
Yeah, once in a blue moon.
But in that game, we took 29 and hit 17. They took 37 and hit 11. So we did actually win that 3-point battle, which, again, it was just an off night for them.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that one play where they got about 3 or 4 shots off. We couldn't get the rebound, and eventually, I think it was Kobe come up with the rebound, and it was just like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Any other night, they'd have hit all 4 of them shots.
Right.
So, and then obviously on last night's game, where are we? They took 40, hitting 19 of them. We took 28, hitting 7. Caruso hit 7 on his own the night before.
Yeah.
Consistently inconsistent.
There you go.
And it's on both ends as well. That's the annoying thing. And yeah, obviously one player got mentioned in that then that is pretty much the epitome of consistently inconsistent, and that is Vooch. These last few games, he's really, we had that game against Celtics where he grabs 2 rebounds.
Yeah.
We had the game against, I can't remember who it was, maybe Nets, where he hits 9 points. And I don't think he did particularly well point-wise last night either.
5 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, he grabbed 14 boards. But to me, he's been our most disappointing player this season.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think a lot of people would say Javon Carter's up there, which, yeah, it probably is. But for me personally, Vooch, just because we don't know what Vooch we're getting. And that goes back to last year as well, when we used to say, we're getting good Vooch tonight, we're getting bad Vooch tonight.
Right.
You could kind of tell pretty much from the tip what sort of Vooch you were getting. And it's just these last few games, I mean, like we just said, highlighted his defense. It's just, non-existent, basically. And it's kind of like, if you're not doing what you're out there to do, why are you out there? Because we've ever got him out there as a 3-point threat? Because he's not doing that.
Nope.
Have we got him out there to defend the paint? Because he's not doing that.
Nope.
When he does try to do it, he gives them silly little slap fouls. It's just,
Or he just puts the hands up and doesn't jump.
Yeah. Is he out there to block shots?
Nope.
Because he's not doing that. Is he out there to dribble the ball? Because when he tries it, he turns it over. Is he out there to rebound?
Yeah.
Pretty much. But the ball has to go to him.
Right.
And if it does go to him, more than likely he's going to tap it out anyway. So, that's not every game for Vooch, because he does have the odd good game. Consistently inconsistent.
No, he does. And, to talk about one of the criticisms that we've always had, and a lot of people have always had about Vooch is he gets a lot of defensive rebounds, which is how he gets so many double doubles. But offensive rebounds, he's just not there. I mean, but a reason for that is it's not that the opportunity hasn't presented himself to him. It's because he does those tap outs. If he actually caught the ball, that would be a rebound that would go into his stats. But because all he does is he pucks it back out again, well, that doesn't pad his stats at all. So it looks like all he's doing is getting defensive rebounds, whereas he's had opportunities to get offensive rebounds. He just doesn't control the ball. Why doesn't he do a little bit more of what he does defensively when he's on offense as well, instead of like, I mean, I know obviously in his own mind he's keeping the ball alive and he's keeping the play going, but like I said at the start, it's a wasted opportunity because you're not guaranteeing that's going to a Bulls player.
Yeah, and I mean, I just like last night in particular. Drummond was absolutely cooking.
Yeah, he was.
Double in, was it 9 minutes, whatever it was?
Yeah.
So what does Billy do? Puts Vooch back in. And it was clear that Vooch just wasn't on it last night.
Right.
And it starts, his frustration leads to them silly little slap fouls and, the turnovers. Was it against, can't remember if it was against Nets or Wolves, where he turned it over 2 plays in a row.
Yeah.
And you just think, you're meant to be, you were part of our big three. And now people, I know people have always sort of hated on him and said that the trade was, obviously we lost the trade and stuff like that. But, I wouldn't even put him up there as one of our top 3 players at the minute.
No, definitely not. And I would have actually been quite okay with Vooch up until this season, but this season it's felt like, okay, he signed on the dotted line and now he's thought to himself, I just need to show up, dial it in.
Yeah,
and it's just not good enough.
I did feel like I've always said I've been frustrated by him, because whether it's we're not using him properly or what, but it's like, how do you use him when what you're trying to use him for, you can't do?
Yeah.
His 3-point shooting this season has just been, I mean, he has a game where he'll hit 2 and you think, oh, okay, he's got it. And then the ball goes to him and then he bricks the next 4. And you just think, all right, you just go back inside Vooch. And then it's like, Billy keeps saying that we're not finding him when he is inside. Well, that's on Vooch more than anybody else, surely. Because if nobody can find him, even though he's like 6'10" or whatever he is, 6'11", and you've got DeMar can't get the ball to him, Kobe can't get the ball to him, Ayo can't get the ball to him. What's the one thing, the one current there? It's Vooch. You know what I mean? Surely. So, yeah, unfortunately, obviously, it looks like we're stuck with him for next year.
Yeah, definitely.
And the year after.
Potentially, he might get traded in the last year, maybe.
And obviously, the regression in his game since he's been here is just, not good. And
no, it's been too much, too fast.
Yeah. And obviously, the last thing from sort of last night's game, and I guess the games previous to it, it's Billy Donovan again. And we spoke about it last week, his rotations and the minutes, what he's actually giving players as well.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, consistently inconsistent. Who's our 6th man?
Good question. Depends on who the first 5 are at the minute.
Yeah, but we know who the first 5 are because you only trust them 5.
Well, yeah. I suppose it's kind of, I don't know. It depends. I mean, who was it? Was it first one on the floor last night? Who was it? Was it Javon even last night? Was it the first? Oh, Drummond. First rotation.
I mean,
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I suppose Drummond is probably the 6th man.
I understand it's
At the
matchup
minute.
dependent and it's how the game's going. But surely you kind of have an idea in your head of. I mean, usually it's Caruso that goes out first and Torrey Craig that comes in because Caruso needs some more duct tape putting on.
Yeah.
But we've seen OB be the sixth man. I mean,
Yeah.
Terry Taylor was, in at 7 last night?
Yeah.
We've seen Javon Carter be the sixth man. We've seen
Yeah.
Caruso be the sixth man if he's not started.
Mm-hmm.
How can you... how can the players know what's going on if Billy doesn't know what's going on?
Yeah.
And obviously... I'll speak about last night's game because obviously I put the tweet out about it. It sort the rotations out. As I just said, Drummond was cooking, and I think it was Bulls Talk that tweeted out saying, double, blah blah blah, or whatever it was. And I put in reply, well, that's him sitting now for the rest of the game essentially. And what happened? Next timeout or whatever, Vooch is back in, Drummond sat, and we didn't see him until either late in the third or early in the fourth. I can't remember when he come back in. Then he tries.
I can't remember exactly, but it was late in the game.
Yeah, and obviously we saw what Drummond did against Hawks last time.
Yep.
So clearly Drummond is better against Hawks than what Vooch is.
And he was cooking when he was on the floor. He was cooking.
Yeah, and that's something we've always said about Billy. A lot of the time in jest is, "Oh, you're hot. Take a seat.
Take a seat.
Oh, you're playing like trash. Get yourself back in."
Yeah.
But it's only
you've cooled down now, right? You've had a chance to get cold, right? Okay, on the court, warm up again. Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
And obviously last night we saw Terry Taylor check in at 7th man or whatever it was. It was quite early, I know that much. He got about 5 minutes. He did all right. Grabbed the board. He had that.
He was active.
Where he faked a 3 and then took it to the rim. I don't think he made any particular mistakes. So what does Billy do? Sits him until garbage time. After sitting him as a coach's DMP for the last 70-odd games.
Yeah.
Apart from when he tried him as a small ball 5. But, cheers, Billy. And then
the small game does our Billy.
Javon Carter, we've criticised him. And a lot of it's been deserved. Coach's DMP 2 games in a row. So what does Billy do? Puts him in last night.
Yeah.
And he's going to be cold. He's going to be, his shot wasn't falling. But a player like that needs to be getting the shots up to try and get it to fall. So what does Billy do? Just take a seat. Don't try and play your way into it. Vooch is missing his shots. We'll put Vooch back in because, he's one of my 5.
On a big contract.
Yeah. Excuse me. And, we needed 3-point shooting. We've got a 3-point shooter sitting on the bench. OB.
Yeah.
Yeah, have 2 minutes of garbage time. And OB is another one where 2 weeks ago he was getting 25 minutes.
I know.
As Torrey Craig's come back and, we knew that his minutes were going to drop, then obviously Javonte comes in and drop even more. And then he's down to a coach's DMP. And then it's like, it would have been last night if it didn't go to garbage time as well.
Yeah.
Sure, Yet, the thing when Obi was on the floor is he spaces the floor for a start, which helps with our 3-point shooting.
Uh-huh.
We could have got the ball to him a lot more because how many times was he stood wide open on the right-hand side of the arc? DeMar's doing his weird little dribble down, passes it to the left where Kobe's got 2 players on him.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of that play. So then the ball gets turned over. Obi has to run like crazy back down to hustle and defense, causes a foul. Right, take a seat. That's you losing 5 minutes in the next game.
Yeah.
As a punishment. Dale and Terry, 20 minutes last week, 6 minutes last night.
Yeah.
Until garbage time and you got an extra couple of minutes. How are these players supposed to get any kind of consistency when they're not getting consistent minutes and consistent role and rotations and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, it's the one thing that really, really irritates me with Billy is, yeah, all right, he occasionally gets it right, but more times than not, he's getting it wrong.
Yeah.
And people say he's working with what he's got, you know, the Billy defenders. He's not. That's the thing. Because if he was working with what he's got, we'd have a proper 10-man rotation, at least. You know, and yeah, what's your take on Billy? It's just, yeah.
I can't even talk now. The rotations are frustrating as hell. Last night, as you've said, with Drummond, it just made zero sense. Zero sense. Yeah, okay, Drummond, you've come on. You've instantly made an impact to the game. We've gone on a bit of a run. We've actually managed to do all right. Take a seat. I'm putting Vooch in your place. Oh, Vooch, you're actually not doing a very good job. But you know what? You play your way into the game. I'll leave you out there. You can figure it out. And we might just throw Drummond back in when he's got cold a little bit later and see what he can do to bring us back into the game. No, that is not how you do it. If someone is cooking, if someone is playing well, leave them out there. Then if they start showing signs of dropping off or getting tired, then give them a minute on the bench and put in the next person. And if the next person is doing okay, then maybe you can leave the other person on the bench for a little bit longer than you'd planned to. But if that player isn't playing well, rest your guy for a minute or two and then switch them back out again or put them in together. Not at the last minute, but early on, and test the waters with it. See, is that working tonight or is that not working tonight? If it's not working tonight, you make game decisions, in-game decisions, which it's like, and we've talked about this before, but it's like Billy sits down, he draws up a game plan. This person's going to get these minutes in this quarter, and this person's going to get these minutes in this quarter. And he goes out with this plan, and it's like it's written in gold. He cannot move from it or alleviate any of the pressure from the players that are doing poorly or keep the players that are playing well. It's like, no, I've got a game plan and I'm sticking to it. And he said so much in the press conference the other night when he said, no, we're focused on interior defense and help defense. We don't need to worry about the three. Yeah, you do. Because everyone's hitting the threes against you and burying you with 3-point shots. Of course you need to react to that. And he just doesn't. It's I don't know. It just frustrates the living hell out of me. And last night with the Drummond thing was absolutely one of the worst examples of it.
Well, I mean, just looking at the minutes last night, obviously starting five all played over 30 minutes. Kobe and Damar with 39. Vooch was the lowest of the starters with 31. That's pretty standard across the NBA for your starters. Maybe not as high as 39. Bench minutes. Torrey Craig, well, apart from Drummond with his 20, Torrey Craig was the highest with 12. After that, you got Dale and Terry with 8, Terry Taylor with 9, Javon Carter with 7, Obi and Sonogo with 2. DT and Terry Taylor, a couple of their minutes were garbage time as well, so you can take them off.
Yeah.
You look at Hawks, the starters, Krejci or whatever his name is, 24 minutes was obviously the lowest. Capella 26. Then you got 3 of them with over 30 minutes. The bench, you got Johnson getting 24 minutes, Fernando getting 21, Buckkiss, whatever his name is, 17. Matthews 17. Wes Matthews 7. You know what I mean? That's using what you've got.
That's more solid minutes. That's a chance to get into the game and find a rhythm.
Yeah. And that's what, going back to like Javon Carter, that's the sort of thing that he needs. Yeah. You can't find a rhythm within 2 minutes and then getting pulled. And then, right, garbage time, go on. Because, and that also then leads on to the next game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, am I actually going to play in this one? Or am I going to be sat collecting splinters?
Right.
You know, and Yeah, it's just I just don't understand how 2 weeks ago a player like OB is getting 25 minutes, and this week he's getting 2 minutes of garbage time and coaches DMPs. It's just I just don't understand how Billy expects the players to get any kind of rhythm going and momentum going and stuff like that. I mean, obviously we haven't spoke about it, but we spoke about it after the Wizards game when we didn't see Javonte Green.
Yeah.
We see him against Pacers, and it's like I said to you, he's not a game winner, he's a game changer.
Big time.
And he's a bit of a standout in the case of he doesn't need many minutes because he's just energy.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what Dalen Terry is as well.
Yeah.
You know, but you've got to let him be chaotic and just, you know, obviously Dalen Terry gets a lot of criticism as well, because obviously his defensive game is shocking. But that Nets game in particular, I said to you, the best lineup we had out there was DT, Drummond, and Javonte, because they were all bringing a bit of defense, they're all bringing a bit of energy, and that's when we actually had a little bit of a chance with them.
Yeah.
So what does Billy do? Breaks it up and puts Vooch back in, DeMar back in. That just slows everything down, and Nets went off, you know. And it's just, yeah, yeah. I just, I get it. The roster, we've said for a long time, the roster construction's shit. It has been for years now.
Yeah.
That's not so much on Billy, but just use what you've got.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Your bench players should at least, or the majority of your bench players should be at least getting 10 to 15 minutes, not 6 minutes at a time. And, you know, it's just because then he comes out in his press conference and says, yeah, Kobe's looking tired. You know, that's why his shot's not falling. Stop playing him 40 minutes a night then.
I mean, it's not like there's somebody else there telling him not to put him in or telling him to keep him in. I mean, it's his decision. He's the coach. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. It's just, yeah, it's just crazy. I do feel sorry in some respects for Billy in the fact that he doesn't have the personnel that he maybe needs or requires or would like. But that only goes so far before you kind of go, well, you have what you have. So you have to box a little bit clever and you have to utilize what you have in the correct way in order to squeeze every positive drop out of what you've been dealt, right? And he can't do it. He can't do it.
No.
And I'm not a Billy hater. We've always said that Billy is, you know, he's not up there with the top level of coaches, but he's not a bum. He's a good coach, but he's a limited coach.
Yeah.
And he has his plan and he has his box and he can't think outside of the box and he can't adjust the plan. Certainly not in game. And I'm done with it. And I'm not saying I want Billy out because that's not going to happen. We all know that's not going to happen. But I'm done with seeing it, and he's not going to be able to change because that's just the way he coaches. So AK, and Eversley if he's still here, but AK anyway, needs to make the changes from a different point of view in order to aid and assist Billy to run the team and run the game the way he is able and he's capable of doing, but he can't do it with the roster construction that he currently has. He can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got nothing else on this Bulls team.
No.
I don't know if you have before we wrap up.
No, well, not on this team per se. Just that all I will say is they've kind of got themselves into a bit of a pattern at the minute, shall we say, of playing one game surprisingly well against normally a pretty good team, and then playing shockingly bad against a team that they should be more than capable of giving a good game. So at the moment, we've been getting this up and down, like good game, bad game, good game, bad game. And so from a personal point of view, as much as I really, really think we should have done better last night, we played badly last night. And on Friday, when I'm in Chicago, that means we're on the upswing. So I'm hoping to see at least a semi-decent game when I'm there. But I'm not going to hold my breath too much. I'm prepared to watch a shocker, and I'm hoping to watch a great game.
Yeah, well, on that note, then I guess we'll do our predictions.
Sure.
To finish off, obviously, as you say, Knicks Friday for you, Saturday morning for us that are left behind. You're obviously going for a win.
Oh yeah, big time.
I don't want it to be, but I'm going to say an L.
See, don't go putting that mojo juju on me, right? No. It's going to be a win. Positive mental attitude. Come on.
No.
I know you can't do it, can you? You just can't do it.
No. I don't know. I think Knicks have just got too much for us, and yeah. And obviously, you're still in Chicago, and you're trying to find somewhere to watch it. The Magic game on Sunday, which I believe is an 11 p.m. tip for us that are left here. I'm going to say we win that one.
Okay.
Purely on the fact that I think there'd be a bit of load management coming in from Magic.
Right.
Whether they, I don't know if they think they're secure in the playoffs or where they are in the standings, whatever at the minute. I don't know. I think somebody like Wagner or Banchero maybe sits just to keep them a little bit fresher.
Which Wagner?
The good one. Franz.
They're both okay.
The one that should be a bull.
Right. There you go.
And they can have Vooch back.
Yeah.
I know, obviously, Magic are your second team, so
they're not my second team. They're not my second. Just because I went to see them play. The only reason why I went to see them play was because I was in Orlando. Do you know? I wouldn't be flying out. Yeah, that was at the start of the season. That was ages ago.
A bit of a theme here, isn't there?
There is a bit, but do you know, this time it's kind of a Sea Red UK based trip, even if it's for personal pleasure.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. What are you saying?
I'm going to say a loss.
Fair enough. After that, obviously, back to the UC to face the Knicks again.
Yep.
One of our sort of followers, friends, whatever you want to call them, Ash, is going to be at that game as well. And it's actually, it's on my birthday in Chicago. But here it'll be the day after my birthday, so I'm not really bothered then. They've got to get a dub.
Right, just because it's your birthday?
No, I just think
kind of
Bulls logic, and I think Knicks at that point maybe start resting players as well. I don't know.
Not going to happen. Not with Tibbs.
I said this before though. The players will decide they're getting rested. I think. My shoulder.
Oh, my ankle hurts.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, what are you saying on that one?
Well, see, I'm still doing this up down thing, so I'm going to say that we win that Knicks game as well.
Fair enough. And then, I guess we'll leave the predictions for the last three games because hopefully we'll have a recording out by then.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we might be able to link up while I'm in Chicago and film one while I'm there, and and you're in your recording studio in your truck and get one done. That's the hope anyway. And I'm gonna be kind of putting a few bits together. Like I think I said this on the last pod as well. I'm gonna try and get a little bit of video footage put together and kind of do a little bit of a montage and throw it up on YouTube as well.
Yeah, you've got your jobs to do while you're out there. Ooh.
I've got plenty of jobs. You're certainly not giving me any time off. You give me plenty of jobs to do when I'm out there.
Yeah, it's a working holiday.
It is.
Which I'm sure you'll enjoy.
Oh yeah, sure.
I don't know if you've got anything else you want to say about your trip before we sign off.
Yeah, I absolutely do, and I know you've been kind of listening to me talking about this for the last couple of weeks, and you've been having to kind of go through the stress of it with me, and not that it was really bothering you much, but I just like to take an opportunity just to get a little something off my chest, right? Okay, I used a company that I've used before. It's actually the company I used for the game that I went to in Orlando, called Vivid Seats, to get my tickets. I got a really good bargain on the seats considering where I was sitting, and I was all delighted with myself and made my payment. Got the email back from Vivid Seats to say that I would be getting the transfer of the tickets. Transfer of the tickets never came. Popped up on the app that I'd accepted the tickets, even though the email never arrived. This went back and forth for the guts of 2.5 weeks. It has been some of the most stressful phone calls, live chats, emails that I've been going through, because basically I paid the money, no tickets to show for it, and they kept telling me that I had my tickets. I'm like, I don't have my tickets. If I had my tickets, I wouldn't be spending every night staying up talking to you on the phone. So anyway, whether they thought I was pulling a fast one or not, I don't know, but they certainly made me feel like they were calling me a liar. Now, I do have to say that they have been quite pleasant to deal with, but they just were creating no resolution for me whatsoever. Ended up getting pawned off to Ticketmaster to speak to them, and told that it was now their problem to deal with. Ticketmaster thankfully confirmed that I'd never accepted the tickets into my account. So I went back to Vivid Seats again, and I got to speak to a manager. Stephanie was her name. She said she might listen to the pod. I told her she'd be getting a mention tonight. She was absolutely fantastic. I told her I was in love with her on the phone because she'd sorted things out for me and everything. It was great. She cancelled my tickets, moved me to slightly better tickets, more or less the same. And the transfer was done in 3 minutes. So it was all sorted, done and dusted. So I can finally, after weeks of stress, in the last 24 hours, or less than 24 hours, I've been actually able to relax and start enjoying the build up to my trip. And I was planning on the socials on Twitter and that, putting out a jersey countdown from like a week. But as you might have noticed, I only put it up from 3 days. I only put it up from today because it was the first time I was able to just kind of go, okay, I actually feel like I'm going now. So so the countdown has begun. Vivid Seats would not be top on my list to use again, unfortunately, even though Stephanie was a godsend at the end of it all. That was pretty much what I wanted to get off my chest. So don't use Vivid Seats, basically.
Unless it's Stephanie.
Unless you go direct to Stephanie, she'll sort you out.
Obviously, I know you haven't wanted to go too much into it because of the whole not knowing what's going on sort of thing. Yeah, but you have got plans. You've got plans to meet up with certain people, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to ruin it.
Absolutely. Plus, I don't want anybody to feel pressurized into having to try and meet up with me either. I mean, it's great if I get to meet people. I'm hoping to meet people, and if I do, brilliant. Like I say, I will be trying to find a place to watch the game on the Sunday, the Orlando Magic game. So if anybody can recommend a good sports bar around the area to go to, where there's going to be plenty of Bulls fans and a good atmosphere, please let me know. And hopefully we can meet up there maybe. But and anyone that's going to the game on Friday as well, if you do happen to see me and want to come over and say hello, please do. I'll be happy to have a chat with anybody and talk balls with anybody.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I'm not jumping the gun too much, but Saturday you're going to watch Chicago Fire.
Yes,
whatever crap sport that is.
Soccer.
I did suggest you go watch Blackhawks, but they're worse than Bulls, so maybe
Well, to be honest with you, my friend is coming over with me because my podcast partner couldn't make it. So I was going to go on my own, and then this friend of mine, we talked about going to a game in the past, so it's ended up coming into fruition that he's coming with me, and he's a big soccer guy. So it was suggested to us that we go to the Chicago Fire because they're playing on the Saturday. By somebody out there that I know. So I booked tickets, got great seats. So we'll be going to that on the Saturday night as well. So same thing. If anybody's at the Chicago Fire game and they see me and they want to come over and say hi, please do.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't want to say too much about your trip because at the end of the day, I don't know what's going to happen just yet.
And a lot of it by ear.
Yeah. Obviously, if anyone's that interested, keep an eye on your socials. Keep an eye on our socials because I'm sure you'll send me enough stuff to put out there, pictures, whatever it happens to be, or just simply me retweeting whatever you put up and stuff like that. So obviously enjoy your trip.
Thanks.
We will be back at some point next week, I imagine, once you've got over and realised what time zone you're in and back to reality.
Well, I'm hoping the jet lag's not going to be too bad, seeing as it's my work industry anyway. I'm fairly used to not getting much sleep, traveling through time zones. So, but that said, after 3 weeks in Orlando, I was pretty wiped after that. So I'm not gonna say that I'm definitely gonna be okay. But
that was because the family was there.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Right. So like I say, enjoy your trip, and we will be back at some point next week. But a little bit weird that you fly into Chicago and then we're doing our regular schedule. But anyway,
I know.
So like I say, we will be back at some point next week, hopefully. And until then, thanks for listening. I've been Matt. You can find me on Twitter at MattCRedUK. And find us on all the socials at CRedUK.
And you'll find me on Twitter at NeillCRedUK. On behalf of both of us and the Fans First Sports Network, thanks once again to everyone for tuning in. And from us both, do remember it's a Chicago Bulls thing wherever in the world you are. Until next time, see you red people and go Bulls.